Hello everyone, this is Christy, and today I want to give you a quick tip on how to crop images rounded. Now, rounded images and thumbnails and headshots and whatever are all the rage. So if you want to do these very easily, I'm going to show you 3 ways to make rounded images or crop an image as a rounded image using 3 tools. 1, Photoshop, 2, Xara, and 3 in plain HTML just on your website. You don't need any graphic tools for that. So the first step is, let's try to do the first version, which is in Photoshop. So I have Photoshop here, and I have an image of a skater, and I want to make a round thumbnail from this image, or crop this image as a rounded image. So how do I do that? Well, when you open a photo the first time, you will notice that it's on the background. So you have to first separate the image from the background. Okay, so if you right click on the layers here, if you don't see the layers, press F7 to bring the layers, and then you see background. You can right click on this and say layer from background. This will take your current layer, your background, and turn it into a normal layer. Make sure mode normal is here, press OK, and now it's called layer 0. Okay, the second step is to define the area that you want to remain in your image after you crop it. So in my case here, I want to keep the skater in my image. So I want to make first a round selection. I'm going to go to the selection tool and hold down on this if you don't see the circle, and click elliptical marquee tool, or you can press M. And with my cursor, I want to define the area around this skater. So if I drag, you will notice it creates a elliptical selection, but I want to make a perfect circle. So when I do this, while I drag with my mouse, I hold down the shift key, and this will create a perfect selection circle. So I go as high or as large or as small as I need, and when I'm happy, I just release the keys and the mouse. And then I can drag this around and center it on my object. When I'm happy with this, all I have to do is just go to invert this selection, because I want to delete what is outside of this circle. So I go to the select menu and click inverse. This will select everything else around my selection and leave my skater untouched. Press delete. This will clear everything. And now I can invert the selection back. So I go to select, inverse, okay. And the last step, I want to go to image and crop. So this will crop the image. It will cut everything out and just leave the area inside my selection. So here we go, crop. I click outside to deselect, and as you can see, I have created a perfectly round selection from my image, and also with a transparent background behind it. So this one can now be saved, and I can use it on my website or on any other project where I need to have a rounded image and where I need to see the background through the corners. So make sure you export this either as a PSD Photoshop if you use it in Photoshop projects, or if you need to use it for the web, just export it as a PNG. You can go to File, Export, Save for Web, and here, you know, if it's JPEG, you will see that you don't see the area, the transparency. Just select from here PNG 24, and of course choose the size you want. Maybe 1985 is too large. Let's say 500 pixels, and as you can see here, you can see the background, you can see the transparency, and my image has 500 pixels and it's a PNG. Save that and you have a transparent background image. Okay, so the second way to do this is in Xara. I'm going to show you. Xara is a graphic editing software, and you can just open a new document here and import the image you want to crop. And I'm going to go to File, Import, and I'm going to import the same skater image. You can see it's an object on my in my page here. So in Xara, there's another way to do this. I'm just going to make it larger. You can zoom in a bit, Control and mouse wheel. So I want to keep this skater again. So all I have to do, there is no selection here. You just go to the shape and hold down and use a circle tool. Yeah, I'm gonna create a circle, and I want to, if I want to resize it and put it around so that I can see what area I want to keep, I want to make it not transparent, and then right click on the color to set the fill color, the line color. So I'm going to choose an outline just so that I can see where I am actually cropping this image. So I'm moving it around, and when I'm happy with the selection, all I do is I hold the shift key down with my circle selected. I hold the shift key down, click on my image to select both of them. Alternatively, you can select both by just clicking, zooming out, and drag all around the objects. And with that selection, I just right click and say combine shapes and intersect. And here you go. This will keep the image and cut the rest. So now my image is inside a circle, so I can export this as a PNG again, like the other example with Photoshop. So I can go File, Export, and here I can choose my format. Make sure it's PNG again, because you want to keep the transparency of your image. And let's call it Rounded Skater. Here we go. Export. And now it's asking me for the size. As you can see, it's already realized that it's PNG with transparency. If you still see the corners, make sure you've selected PNG, and from the color depth, don't just have true color. Change it to true color plus alpha. Alpha being the transparency layer. So here you go. And I can go to bitmap size, put 500 here, just like I did on the other example. All is good, and export. So now I have done this in Xara. Finally, the third way to do it, and you can do this on your website too, if you have WordPress or another website for editor. If you don't have any graphics tools to cut your image and make it round, you can use a square image and you can make it round in HTML. And I'm going to show you how. I have here two images, an image of myself as a rectangle, and I have built a basic web page with nothing on it, just blank canvas here, and I have a text editor here. So I'm going to show you how I do it. First of all, I have my normal HTML page here, so I'm going to import the image. So I'm going to use an image tag. My image is image.jpg, and that's it. I'm not doing anything else. I'm saving this and reloading, so you can see the picture here. Now this picture is of course a rectangle. Square. How do I make it round? It's very, very simple. In the image, you just do a style. This is a CSS style, so I'm going to say style border radius colon 50%, and then close this the quotes. What this means is make all the four corners take 50%. That means top right, top left, bottom right, bottom left. They will all be 50%, meaning the top right will be 50%, bottom right 50%. That will give you a full rounded circle. Let's save this and see if it works. There you are. Your image is now rounded, and although you did not actually change the image, your image appears rounded on your website. So also, this has the transparency around it, so you can see behind it. If I make a background on the body here, let's see, background color blue, just for example, and reload, you can see that my image now is rounded and sits on top of the background, and it doesn't have the white corners around it. So this is the third way to do it. First time we did it in Photoshop, it's the second in Xara, and now directly on your website. If you need it, you can apply this to any image. The only thing that you need to remember for the web is the image has to be square. If the image is not square, you will not get a perfect circle. Let me just show you. I have a second image here that is not a square. It's a rectangle, so it's tall. Okay, so if I use this image and I change it here, it's called image 2, and I reload this, you see now my image is not actually perfect circle, it's an ellipse. So that's because it's using the image size to start with. So if your image is not exactly a square, it's not going to get exactly a circle at the end. So make sure that the images you use for this on the web are perfect square. So if you wanted to do the same with the image that we shown in the example, first of all, cut the image out, maybe using Photoshop or some other tool, make it square, and then upload it and use the style on it. And the nice thing about the HTML version is that while you've made the image round in one place, you can reuse the same image somewhere else as a square, no problem. So this was today's quick win. I hope it helps you. Thanks for watching.